All righty. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome one and welcome all to the one, the only Junk Shop Library channel, home of whatever we're going to call the Book of Mormon study once we come up with a snappy hashtag ready name for it. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, comments below, yada, yada. The Atheist Book of Mormon study, where we read every last verse and try to figure out what the hell is going on from a modern atheist, humanist, non-con artist having standpoint. Aha! That sounds appealing to you. By all means, stick around, hit the thumbs up, consider subscribing. If that doesn't sound appealing to you, make sure you hit that thumbs down on the way out. All right. Well, we don't have much in terms of announcements for the channel. We do have one big one. We've got the 250 subscriber celebration stream coming up tomorrow afternoon my time, at 3 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see some of y'all there. I know it's a very busy afternoon from a streaming standpoint. A lot of folks going to be streaming, a lot of folks going to be live. Hope you spend at least some of it with us. In terms of announcements for friends of the channel, we've got Paul Camish, my first Patreon patron, down there in the side chat. Paul is going to be, hopefully, debating the shape of the earth with praise I am that I am later. I tried to find the link to drop it in the chat, but I hadn't been able to find the stream yet. So we'll see how that goes. And over on Ethan, your friendly neighborhood atheists channel, in about 2 hours, a little bit less, we're going to be, well, I say we, he and some folks, and I'm going to be in the side chat, are going to be taking a look at Matt Powell's new movie. The link to that is in the chat a little ways up, and I'll try to remember to drop it in the chat a little ways further down just before we roll out of here. We're back on the regular schedule this coming up week. Improv Bible study Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Similar modern atheist humanist perspective on the King James Bible. We're stuck in Isaiah and have been for some time. And Mental Health Thursdays on Thursday. All of this at the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern. With all that said, I think that's all I've got in the way of announcements. So, here we go, I guess. We just started on this and not too long ago. So, we just finished the 3rd chapter of the book of 1st Nephi. It ended with brothers smiting each other in a cave and some unruly unbelievers trying to steal magic genealogy tablets. And y'all thought the Bible was weird. Chapter 4, there they are. Friends of the channel know by now what that was. Nope, I told a lie. There was something I got to do. I got to change my damn banner. To thank my patrons, the folks who keep the channel streaming and allow us to do things like add a Book of Mormon study in the middle of a Saturday afternoon because old Junk Shop got bored, like we did a couple of weeks ago. These are the folks that keep us sometimes aggressively lit and well mic'd and well shot and all of these other things that go into the YouTube channel making. Thank you all so very, very much. Literally could not be doing what we're doing without you. And I just can't hardly express to you how much I appreciate it. In particular, I've got to thank the members of my top 2 tiers, my illuminated manuscript, Captain Kimothy, and my genuine calfskin patrons, Paul Camish and Bill. These folks have gone above and beyond in their support of the channel and have really kept the channel's heads above water sometimes in the last little while. So, thank y'all. All right, the chat is beginning to fill up. I love to see it. Thank you all so much for coming out. It's just burgundy. Y'all, I was getting ready to brew the coffee, and then I realized I was going to have to grind some beans to make the coffee, and just stared at that machine and didn't have the damn spoons to run it. So I poured myself a nice mug of wine instead. And I'm going to need it, because this book is bananas. Chapter 4. Enough preamble. Nephi slays Laban at the Lord's command and then secures the plates of brass by stratagem. Zoram chooses to join Lehi's family in the wilderness. Spoilers. And it came to pass that I spake unto my brethren, saying, Let us go up again unto Jerusalem, and let us be faithful in keeping the commandments of the Lord. For behold, he is mightier than all the earth. Then why not mightier than Laban and his 50? Yea, or even his tens of thousands? Therefore let us go up. Let us be strong like unto Moses, for he truly spake unto the waters of the Red Sea, and they divided hither and thither, and our fathers came through out of captivity on dry ground, and the armies of Pharaoh did follow and were drowned in the waters of the Red Sea. Now behold, ye know that this is true, and ye also know that an angel hath spoken unto you. Wherefore can ye doubt? Let us go up. The Lord is able to deliver us, even as our fathers, and to destroy Laban, even as the Egyptians. Now when I had spoken these words, they were yet wroth, and did still continue to murmur. Nevertheless, they did follow me up until we came without the walls of Jerusalem. And it was by night, and I caused that they should hide themselves without the walls. And after they had hid themselves, I, Nephi, crept into the city, and went forth towards the house of Laban. And I was led by the Spirit, not knowing beforehand the things which I should do. Nevertheless, I went forth, and as I came near unto the house of Laban, I beheld a man, and he had fallen to the earth before me, for he was drunken with wine. And when I came to him, I found that it was Laban. And I beheld his sword, and I drew it forth from the sheath thereof, and the hilt thereof was of pure gold, and the workmanship thereof was exceedingly fine. And I saw that the blade thereof was of the most precious steel. And it came to pass that I was constrained by the Spirit that I should kill Laban. But I said in my heart, Never at any time have I shed the blood of man. And I shrunk, and would that I might not slay him. And the Spirit said unto me again, Behold, the Lord hath delivered him into thy hands. Yea, and I also knew that he had sought to take away mine own life. Yea, and he would not hearken unto the commandments of the Lord. And he had also taken away our property. And it came to pass that the Spirit said unto me again, Slay him, for the Lord hath delivered him into thy hands. Behold, the Lord slayeth the wicked to bring forth his righteous purposes. It is better that one man should perish than that a nation should dwindle and perish in unbelief. And now, when I, Nephi, had heard these words, I remembered the words of the Lord, which he spake unto me in the wilderness, saying that, Inasmuch as thy seed shall keep my commandments, they shall prosper in the land of promise. Yea, and I also thought that they could not keep the commandments of the Lord according to the law of Moses, save they should have the law. And I also knew that the law was engraven upon the plates of brass. And again, I knew that the Lord had delivered Laban into my hands for this cause, that I might obtain the records according to his commandments. Therefore I did obey the voice of the Spirit, and took Laban by the hair of the head, and I smote off his head with his own sword. And after I had smitten off his head with his own sword, I took the garments of Laban, and put them upon mine own body, yea, even every whit. And I did gird on his armor about my loins. And after I had done this, I went forth unto the treasury of Laban. And as I went forth towards the treasury of Laban, behold, I saw the servant of Laban, who had the keys of the treasury. And I commanded him in the voice of Laban that he should go with me into the treasury. And he supposed me to be his master, Laban, for he beheld the garments, and also the sword girded about my loins. And he spake unto me concerning the elders of the Jews, he knowing that his master Laban had been out by night among them. And he spake unto me as if it had been Laban. And I spake unto him as if it had been Laban. And I also spake unto him that I should carry the engravings which were upon the plates of brass to my elder brethren who were without the walls. And I also bade him that he should follow me. And he, supposing that I spake of the brethren of the church, and that I was truly that Laban whom I had slain, wherefore he did follow me. And he spake unto me many times concerning the elders of the Jews, as I went forth unto my brethren who were without the walls. And it came to pass that when Laman saw me, he was exceedingly frightened, and also Lemuel and Sam. And they fled from before my presence, for they supposed it was Laban, and that he had slain me, and had sought to take their lives away also. And it came to pass that I called after them, and they did hear me, wherefore they did cease to flee from my presence. And it came to pass that when the servant of Laban beheld my brethren, he began to tremble, and was about to flee from before me, and return to the city of Jerusalem. And now I, Nephi, being a man large in stature, and also having received much strength of the Lord, therefore I did seize upon the servant of Laban, and held him, that he should not flee. And it came to pass that I spake with him, that if he would hearken unto my words, as the Lord liveth, and as I live, even so, that if he would hearken unto our words, we would spare his life. And I spake unto him even an oath, that he need not fear, that he should be a free man like unto us, if he would go down in the wilderness with us. And I also spake unto him, saying, Surely the Lord hath commanded us to do this thing, and shall we not be diligent in keeping the commandments of the Lord? Therefore, if thou wilt go down into the wilderness to my father, thou shalt have place with us. And it came to pass that Zoram did take courage at the words which I spake. Now Zoram was the name of the servant. And he promised that he would go down into the wilderness unto our father. Yea, and he also made an oath unto us that he would tarry with us from that time forth. Now we were desirous that he should tarry with us for this cause, that the Jews might not know concerning our flight into the wilderness, lest they should pursue us and destroy us. And it came to pass that when Zoram had made an oath unto us, our fears did cease concerning him. And it came to pass that we took the plates of brass and the servant of Laban, and departed into the wilderness, and journeyed into the tent of our father. And that is the end of 1 Nephi, 4th chapter. Well, that was some dumbass shit. Okay, so I see the chat filling up, and I love it. Hey, y'all, how y'all doing? Okay. Here's the first and most minor of my many issues with this book so far. It's badly, badly written. Almost every sentence starts with the word "and." Literally, almost every sentence starts with the word "and," which is not how you wrote, or write, or should write, or should have written. Regardless, "and" is only for breaking the rules, stylistic reasons. Something with which you can begin a sentence. But I swear, it seems like almost every sentence in this book so far has begun either with the word "and" or the phrase "and it came to pass." It's bad writing. Okay, so that aside, this was a long way to tell a pretty straightforward ass story. Right? Bank heist Hitman edition. So they're bound and determined to get these damn plates that they've been characterizing as having had genealogies written on them up until this point, but for no readily discernible reason become plates with the law of Moses written upon them at this point in the story. Narratively convenient, yes. Sense-making or internally consistent, no. Bad writer. Bad. So, Nephi goes up to Jerusalem with his little brother Sam and his middle brother, whose name I don't remember at the moment. Lisa probably knows. And Nephi has his brothers hide outside the city, and he goes into the city, all creepsy and tricksy, and he doesn't know where he's going, and he doesn't know what he's about to do. But he trusts in the Spirit of the Lord to direct him, because apparently Nephi hears voices. Lemuel, thank you. Lemuel and Sam. And Nephi comes creeping into the city, hoping he hears a voice that'll tell him what to do. And as he nears Laban's house, he sees this motherfucker passed out, stark, staring, stupid, drunk on the ground. Sword and all. And he comes near enough to recognize him and says, "Oh my gosh, it's Laban. It's the man whose house I've come in the middle of the night to rob. I should slay him." Wouldn't do to just keep on going about my business, maybe clonk the servant over the head with a rock and just go in and take the... Nope, I should slay him. And then he says, "No, maybe I better not. I've never done a murder before. I don't aim to start tonight." And he hears a voice that tells him to do a murder, and he argues with it. He says, "No, I don't want to do a murder." And the Spirit speaks to him again and tells him he better do a murder, because it's not just the genealogies he's sneaking in to get, it's also the law of Moses. And how's he supposed to raise a righteous family to live long and prosper if they don't know how to follow the laws of Moses? because heaven knows it's never happened before in the history of the earth. So he says, well, that's a convincing argument. So he steals Laban's keys off his unconscious ass and goes sneaking into the storehouse, all creepsy and tricksy, and takes what he wants and sneaks out the gate with none the wiser. I'm just kidding. He grabs Laban by the hair, takes his gold-hilted sword with a steel blade in the Bronze Age, and swipes his head off. And then he strips him naked and puts on all his clothes and his armor and his sword belt and shit. And then he strides on up to Laban's treasure house, bold as brass. And he does his best attempt to imitate Laban's voice, and Laban's treasurer buys it. How? Why? Like I said earlier about something else. Narratively convenient? Yes. Sense-making and internally consistent? Not so much. Holy texts, am I right? So then, for no readily discernible reason, he takes the servant with him back out of the city. I mean, I guess a case could be made for the perspective that he didn't want the servant to go into where the elders of the Jews are having this big, giant fuck-off party where everybody's drinking so much that Laban goes out for a piss and falls over dead drunk in the street and doesn't even notice. Doesn't want the servant going into this party and saying, hey, just so y'all know, Laban just left and he took all of the genealogical tablets that inexplicably have the law of Moses written on them for no apparent reason, out of the city to meet with Larry, Curly, and Moe. Hey, where the hell is Larry, Curly, and Moe? Oh my gosh! There's Larry and Curly and Moe. He must have lied to us. Let us go! I guess that's the rationale. So anyway, he takes his chatterboxy servant with him. The servant proceeds to talk his ear off with gossip all the way to the city gate and out. And he suddenly realizes the flaw in his plan. He's still dressed in Laban's clothes. Just for the sake, in the chat, just for the sake of saying it, do you realize how sharp that blade had to be to do a clean cut to decapitate? I don't know, it doesn't say it was one clean cut. He might have been there hacking and hacking and hacking for 5 fucking minutes. We don't know. But it was the finest steel, remember? The finest steel of Bronze Age Palestine. Yup. That tracks. I'm no historical weapons expert, but something about that doesn't ring quite true to me. Okay, so he realizes too late that he's still wearing his Laban disguise when he sees dark figures running away in panic. Because his brothers decided to get all cowardly and realized that they couldn't take Laban 2-on-1. So he has to abandon the pretense of doing his best Laban impression for the benefit of the servant and yell, "Hey, it's me, Nephi! Get your damn ass back here, you scaredy cat sons of bitches!" At which point the servant realizes that it is not his master, who knew him well enough to entrust him with control of the keys of the treasury, and yet nevertheless he didn't recognize because it was dark. Iron Age. Sorry, my bad. Anyway, the servant freaks out, says, "You're not Laban," and turns around and runs away, or is going to, until big old Nephi, large in stature and given strength by the Lord, grabs him by the scruff of the neck and hauls him back and says, "Here's the deal, kid. We ain't going to kill you. We just want you to be our servant instead of Laban's. Sound like a good plan? Come with us." And they go back to the house. If I'm being honest, this does kind of do what it's supposed to. I'm kind of caught up in the narrative. I'm kind of curious about what's going to happen next. And it does remind me of the best parts of the Bible. You know, not the Levitical laws, not the boring-ass begats, not the goddamn Psalms, but it does remind me of, like, Judges and Kings. You know, back in the days when shit actually happened, and there was smiting going on, and there was insurrections and subterfuge and murder and shit. We've gotten all of that. And we're only in the first 4 chapters of this book. In the first 4 chapters of the Bible, what do you get? The only thing that happens is everybody gets cast out of Eden and the snake gets its legs taken away. Other than that, it's just, oh my God, it's so deathly dull. Poetic, but deathly dull. First 4 chapters of the Book of Mormon, and that's not counting the mighty hallucination-heavy front matter. But in the first 4 chapters of the actual text, we've had murder and subterfuge, putting on disguises made out of the loincloths of dead men and their armor, brother smiting brother in a cave in the middle of the Judean desert over a disagreement, uprising, the threat of civil war. This is a very busy little book. I kind of dig it. It's stupid as all fucking hell, but I kind of dig it. Sorry, Mormons, but your holy book is dumb. Don't worry, so is the Bible. Trust me on this one. Chapter 5 or 6, whatever we're about to do. I know my numbers, I swear. 5. 5 is short. We can do 5. Let's find out what happens. I'm enjoying myself, and I hope y'all are too. It gets even busier, says Lisa for Truth. Yes, I've been told some of the things that I'm promised are coming, and I'm so glad I decided to do this little project. Junie says, I want to ask which one is easier to read, but we're not even done. Well, the language in this one is easier to read because it wasn't written in 1611. It was written in 600 BC. I mean, it's 1830. And the 1830 language is a lot easier to read than the English of 200 years prior. Chapter 5. Sariah complains against Lehi. Both rejoice over the return of their sons. They offer sacrifices. The plates of brass contain writings of Moses and the prophets. They identify Lehi as a descendant of Joseph. Lehi prophesies concerning his seed and the preservation of the plates. And it came to pass that after we had come down into the wilderness unto our father, behold, he was filled with joy, and also my mother, Sariah, was exceedingly glad, for she truly had mourned because of us. For she had supposed that we had perished in the wilderness, and she also had complained against my father, telling him that he was a visionary man, saying, Behold, thou hast led us forth from the land of our inheritance, and my sons are no more, and we perish in the wilderness. And after this manner of language had my mother complained against my father. And it had come to pass, variety, and it had come to pass that my father spake unto her, saying, I know that I am a visionary man. For if I had not seen the things of God in a vision, I should not have known the goodness of God, but had tarried at Jerusalem, and had perished with my brethren. But behold, I have obtained a land of promise, in the which things I do rejoice. Yea, and I know that the Lord will deliver my sons out of the hands of Laban, and bring them down again unto us in the wilderness. And after this manner of language did my father, Lehi, comfort my mother, Sariah, concerning us, while we journeyed in the wilderness up to the land of Jerusalem to obtain the record of the Jews. And when we had returned to the tent of my father, behold, their joy was full, and my mother was comforted. And she spake, saying, Now I know of a surety that the Lord hath commanded my husband to flee into the wilderness. Yea, and I also know of a surety that the Lord hath protected my sons, and delivered them out of the hands of Laban, and given them power whereby they could accomplish the thing which the Lord had commanded them. And after this manner of language did she speak. And it came to pass that they did rejoice exceedingly, and did offer sacrifice and burnt offerings unto the Lord, and they gave thanks unto the God of Israel. And after they had given thanks unto the God of Israel, my father, Lehi, took the records of which were engraven upon the plates of brass, and he did search them from the beginning. And he beheld that they did contain the 5 books of Moses, which gave an account of the creation of the world, and also of Adam and Eve, who were our first parents, and also a record of the Jews from the beginning, even down to the commencement of the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, and also the prophecies of the holy prophets from the beginning, even down to the commencement of the reign of Zedekiah, and also many prophecies which have been spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah. And it came to pass that my father, Lehi, also found upon the plates of brass a genealogy of his fathers, wherefore he knew that he was a descendant of Joseph, yea, even that Joseph who was sold into Egypt, and who was preserved by the hand of the Lord, that he might preserve his father Jacob and all his household from perishing with famine. And they were also led out of captivity and out of the land of Egypt by that same God who had preserved them. And thus my father, Lehi, did discover the genealogy of his fathers. And Laban also was a descendant of Joseph, wherefore he and his fathers had kept the records. And now, when my father saw these things, he was filled with the Spirit, and began to prophesy concerning his seed, that these plates of brass should go forth unto all nations, kindreds, tongues, and people who were of his seed. Wherefore, he said that these plates of brass should never perish, neither should they be dimmed any more by time. And he prophesied many things concerning his seed. . And it came to pass that thus far I and my father had kept the commandments wherewith the Lord had commanded us, and we had obtained the records which the Lord had commanded us, and searched them, and found that they were desirable, yea, even of great worth unto us, insomuch that we could preserve the commandments of the Lord unto our children. Wherefore it was wisdom in the Lord that we should carry them with us as we journeyed in the wilderness toward the land of promise. And there we have 1 Nephi chapter 5. All right, so quick reminder for those of us who had forgotten, like me, because it's been weeks since we visited this. That his father, Nephi, and his mother, Sariah, and the rest of their household and the little bit of stuff that they took from home, and they bolted off in the middle of the goddamn night with no warning except for a vision from God that old man Nephi had in a dream, are camped in the Judean desert 3 days' march outside of Jerusalem. Now, I just almost turned to look over my shoulder at the map. But the map was up in the old set, in the old study, in the old apartment. Furthermore, I can see on my screen that it's not there. But hey, old habits die hard. Now, I don't greatly care which direction you go outward from Jerusalem in the Judean desert. There's not much there. It's desert. Okay? And not desert like Arizona, where you've got your occasional cactus and your occasional lizard. The Judean desert is fucking brutal. It's one of the most inhospitable places on earth. You can go days in a straight line and not see anything. And that's today. Okay? That's maybe an airplane overhead passing you by from, South Africa to Beijing or something. It is brutal. But lacking any better idea, old man Nephi just lit out into the desert. And they're camped 3 days' march outside of Jerusalem. Whoops. This is why I buy these things at the dollar store, y'all, because old Junk Shop has his clumsy moments. All of which is to say that this little hitman excursion that Nephi just went on, chopping off heads and putting on other people's loincloths and shit, was a 6-day round trip. All right? The old man's camped 3 days outside of Jerusalem. They go 3 days out to Jerusalem and then 3 days back. So they're gone for a week. At some point during this week they've been gone, their mama starts freaking out. She accuses their father of being a visionary man. Seeing shit. You got problems, Nephi, she says. You're seeing shit and you're hearing voices, and now my sons are too, and whatever this weird-ass thing is that you've passed on to our children or convinced them that they have, they're now dead somewhere out there in the burning-ass desert, TM, for no good reason, except you decided to send them on a mission to find out your genealogy rather than stay home and look it up. Nephi's response is to say, woman, I know I see shit, and it's visions from the Lord, so hush your pretty little mouth and don't worry your pretty little head. Awesome. Well, they're apparently still at it and still in the same place because Nephi, Lemuel, and Sam find them again. And it was uphill both ways. Yeah, exactly. They find him again, and they're lugging across the burning ass desert, TM, the entirety of the Pentateuch and the prophets graven on tablets of brass. Heavy. That's the only thing I can think while they're talking about everything that they've found on these plates. Not only is it a complete genealogy going back to Adam, but there's the Pentateuch and the prophets up through some of the writings of Jeremiah. That's a lot. I mean, either some motherfuckers are writing very, very small on some brass tablets, like microscopic small, or this is a lot of tablets made out of brass. Is not a light material. They are dragging a lot of heavy shit across the desert, even accounting for the fact that they picked up 2 unexpected pair of hands along the way with this servant of Laban's that they coerced into bringing with them. Or the whole thing is just made up, but I'm sure that could never be the case. So anyway, at some point during Nephi and Sariah's big giant argument over whether or not it's a good thing to see visions and hear voices, the sons, plus the servant, show up out of nowhere. Say, hey, hope you didn't worry. We're back. Oh, you were worried. You know it's a 3-day walk to Jerusalem. It took us 3 days to get here from Jerusalem. You know, you knew it would take us 3, and then we've got to turn around and come back. What are you so worried? Hi, Mom. Good to see you too. Here's the magic tablets Daddy sent us off to find. And Mom is so happy that she kills one of their few animals that they managed to sneak out of the city with. 3, 6, 9, 10 days ago, sets it on fire in the middle of the desert, sends up a nice smoke signal to let everybody for the surrounding county know where they're camped at. And then Old Man Nephi goes to work on these tablets, and he commences to read. And then we get a fascinating summary of the Pentateuch and the prophets up through Jeremiah. And come to find out that not only is he related to Old Man Laban, but he's a descendant of Joseph. Well, they both are, or were, before his son chopped off Old Man Laban's head with his own sword and put on his clothes and stole his shit. And then something even more miraculous happens. They come to the understanding after they read the entirety of the Mosaic Law, graven small on tablets of brass. They come to the realization they've been doing it all right all along. They have been following Mosaic law to the letter despite the total and complete absence of Mosaic law. This somewhat taxes belief. I couldn't follow Mosaic law with a pocket Bible in my pocket every day of my life if I tried. To do it by chance, by accident, no. Fan fiction, y'all. Sorry to break it to you, but it is. It's Old Testament fan fiction, and it smells like it from the outset. Fan fiction. Chapter 6 is real damn short. We're going to read chapter 6. Given that we're coming up on the top of the hour already, time flies when you're having fun. And when the chapters are as long as chapter fucking 4 was. Because I didn't think that shit was ever going to end. Chapter 6. Nephi writes of the things of God. His purpose is to persuade men to come unto the God of Abraham and be saved. And now I, Nephi, do not give the genealogy of my fathers in this part of my record, neither at any time shall I give it after upon these plates which I am writing, for it is given in the record which has been kept by my father. Wherefore I do not write it in this work. For it sufficeth me to say that we are descendants of Joseph. And it mattereth not to me that I am particular to give a full account of all the things of my father, for they cannot be written upon these plates. For I desire the room that I may write of the things of God. For the fullness of mine intent is that I may persuade men to come unto the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and be saved. Wherefore, the things which are pleasing unto the world I do not write, but the things which are pleasing unto God, and unto those who are not of the world. Wherefore, I shall give commandment unto my seed, that they shall not occupy these plates with things which are not of worth unto the children of men. That's all there is of chapter 6. All right, this is the second time that Mr. Nephi has taken the time to assure us that there's more documentation out there. He just hadn't bothered to copy it over. And if we hadn't read it, we should probably just take his word for it. It's the word of his righteous father, the son of Joseph, and the son of the living God. How many chapters to go, asks Greg. Well, let me give you a hint. See the bookmarks sticking out? We got our Saturday afternoons cut out for us for a while, my friend. That's a good point. I'm going to pull that up real quick. Richard says, ignorant but perfectly following all the laws of Moses is an obvious appeal to the Bible, which reads, I have written my law upon their hearts, and would prompt the readers to think it verifies this. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes any sense, really. Because there's just no fucking way All right, so Nephi takes this parenthesis to assure us that his father wrote down shit too, but he's not going to bother copying it over, and some of it's in the Old Testament anyway, so we can just go look it up. And also, the interesting little aside that his children who write after him are going to be given explicit instructions not to fill up the rest of the tablets with such things as are not pleasing to God. Which is not a bad way to say all the rest of this coming up is of the Lord. I used the analogy last week about the first couple of chapters of the Vampire Lestat, where Anne Rice sneaks in the apology that she's not going to bother trying to write it in period-accurate dialogue. And her excuse for that is that her vampire narrator has lived for so long that he's picked up idioms from many different centuries. Kind of what this smells like. There's going to be plenty of stuff coming up, but I promise you it's all... Oh, wait a minute, there's back matter. Some of this is glossary. This isn't quite as bad as it looks. That's good to know. If you move the bookmark to the other side, you're almost done. Yeah, well, there's that. Just have to do it in the Trump hold, right? Upside down and backwards. Yeah. Okay, so next week we'll start on chapter 7 with enlistment, rebellion, exhortation, binding, freeing, forgiving, and more sacrifice. How's that for a teaser? Did I do that good? Y'all excited now? All right. Thank y'all all so much for coming out to join me tonight. I'm going to see if I left the right tab open. Yes, I did. Okay. In half an hour, Ethan and Brainbug and somebody I'm not familiar with are going to be talking about Matt Powell's new movie at the link I just dropped in the chat. I know it seems like everybody and their dog has already talked about Matt Powell's new movie, but Ethan actually had the dubious honor to be heavily featured in it. So if it's not too late for you, pop over there and show your support. Check around I Am What I Praise channel, Praise I Am That I Am, because Paul's supposed to be on there in the middle of the damn night. I told him I'd try to be there, but he himself was a little uncertain as to whether the stream was actually going to happen. They're going to talk flat earth. All right. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me yet again as we work on this peculiar little book. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I had a blast. Extra special thank you to my patrons for keeping us afloat right now. I know it's hard times for everybody, which makes your support mean all the more. Thank y'all so much. I want to thank the new friends of the channel. We've got so many new subscribers, and I see several of them in the chat here tonight. Thank y'all all so much for coming. I'm so glad you found us, and make sure you're subscribed to all the other folks you see bouncing around in the chat. There's a majority of content creators. We try to build the community we've got here. And as we always say before we roll out of here, where is my cursor? But that aside, Everybody take care, be safe, and stand against hate. 250 subscriber celebration tomorrow at 3 Eastern.